Welcome to podcast number 3. Why we fail, even when we're being positive, even if we have the right mindset and a lot of things, really the right mindset. I don't think of anything. Well, there's a lot of things that you could think of, but in the performance enhancement world, when you're trying to achieve, when you go in with a positive attitude or positive motives, or the positive this, positive that, and you fail, that's no fun. That's absolutely no fun. And so today's program is all about taking the My Best 7 success traits, so the 7 success traits of elite performers, and couching some of those, not all, but some of those into this notion, this program of why we fail, even when we're positive. So let's get started. So each step of the way, I'll have a solution. It won't just be simply, here's the problem, without a solution. You don't have to wait 20 minutes from now to find a solution. And so let's go back to podcast 2. So podcast 2, we talked about our daily I am. And we got to a point where we set a goal, a daily goal, and then we had action items. And so right here, we don't have to go too deep into anything. Right here could be the problem, right? So I could have a daily goal that in the My Best 7 framework of the 7 success traits, that daily goal is outside the realm of my current abilities on those success traits. And so I could set a goal to I played golf today, to hit a drive 350 yards. So that's a goal. I have action items, clubs, this and that, swing, and things I'm going to do. But my skill set is such that I can't hit the ball 350 yards. I can't. I can hit it pretty far, but I can't hit 350 yards, even maybe downhill. Good roll, right? And so right then and there, I go to golf. I'm always excited to go to golf. I'm driven, so we're going to use that word drive here in a little while. We're going to really, really dig into that word drive. So I'm driven to go to golf. I get there. I've got a daily goal to drive at 350 every time. And I have these action items about my swing and my clubs and my stuff. And then I go, and then it doesn't happen, right? So the failure part feels like a huge failure because I wanted to hit at 350. But the fact is I don't have that skill set. I simply, in the My Best 7 framework, I just don't have that skill set. It's number 7 in the framework. We got body, and the bookend is skill sets. I don't have the skill sets to actually make that happen. Number 2, if we stay right here for a minute, 30 seconds, if we stay right here, the action items are actually incorrect, or there's something about those actions that are not supporting the goal. So if I'm going to go with a math example. I'm going to go all the way back to 1985, 84, 85. Mr. Swango said this to us. He said that the problem is in math, in geometry, is that people don't do well on exams because they reinforce only things that they're good at. So they say to themselves over and over and over, A squared, I almost messed it up, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Right? So my goal, my daily goal, my goal that day would be to do well on a geometry exam in Mr. Swango's class. I am driven, not nervous. I'm excited. I want it to happen. Can't wait to do well. But the actions that I took around that goal, so the goal, say that was the day before, so I'm studying. And his point was that action items, one of the action items that's being taken to achieve the goal of doing well on his exam is studying incorrectly. It's not that you're not studying, you're studying incorrectly. And so, again, a goal of My Best 7, Amy and I talked about this, about broadcasting to China. We talked about it a lot the other day. Is it just sport? Is it life? Just do sports. Okay, we'll do sport. And then a little bit later, no, I thought about it. Let's do life. It makes sense because it's everybody. It is everybody. It's everybody. And so I'm driven, I fail. Right now we're stuck on number one is my goal. My goal could be incorrect. 1A or 2 is the action items actually are not supporting that goal. Hence, Mr. Swango, 1985, Monticello High School, you're studying incorrectly because a squared plus b squared is c squared. You got it down cold, and you say it over and over and over, thinking that that somehow is all that you need. So let's talk about drive theory. Might be if you're watching a video or if you're listening to a car, you go, oh, I might want to watch him talk about it. I want to see the visual. And the visual is that drive theory is ancient. Right? I'm ancient. Drive theory is really ancient. And the notion is that on the x-axis we have our drive. Right? And we can couch it any way we want. We just want to use the word drive, and we want to think right at this moment for this program. We're thinking about positive drive, not drive that turns into stress. It does. Not drive that turns into anxiety or bad emotion. It does. We just want to talk about drive. And we're going to put on the y-axis. The y-axis is our habits. And so what happens is the more I'm driven, and you kind of put a diagonal line between the x and y, the more I'm driven, the more likely my dominant habit for that situation is to come out. So I'm going to say that again. So the more I'm driven, the more likely my dominant habit is to show, right? And so that's the essence of drive theory. It's not bad, right? I'm really driven to do well. The unfortunate thing, the explanation for this podcast, for this thumbnail of me standing at the golf course, Jackson, thank you, great photo of me duck hooking it left. I didn't really, but pretended I did. Is my habit, my dominant habit could be wrong. And I fool myself when we get to the end of the program. I fool myself to think that my dominant habit is correct, that I'm always right, that I'm always really, really good. And what happens is I want it, and then bingo, something bad happens. Here, performance is bad, outcome is bad, because my habit, my dominant habit, came out when I wanted it the most. And that absolutely, the dominant habit's wrong, and that absolutely stinks. That is absolutely no fun. And so let's give a really easy example that, and we could be a podcast for a year. Hunger is a drive. I'm hungry. Right? My dominant habit, semantics, we don't want to get into semantics of what the habit is. We just, I'm hungry. Right? I'm going this way. I'm hungry. My dominant habit is to go find food. That's my habit. And then on that performance line, if we want to call it performance or behavior, whatever it is, it's to chew, swallow, digest. It works. It seems to work every time. Almost every. I mean, sometimes I get sick, but almost every time it works. And so, hence, that's a great reason that it's hard to lose weight. Because when I'm hungry, my dominant habit is to go get food. And then my performance is always perfect because I eat it. And I swallow it, and I digest it, and I gain weight. Right? So, or I don't lose weight, or I ingest calories, depending on what I'm doing, how many calories I'm ingesting, and what my weight loss goal or maintenance is. That becomes a struggle because the dominant habit is to go get food. Right? So that's a super simple example. And now we're going to incorporate my best 7 success traits. So let's start with basketball. I love basketball. I've shot so many baskets in my life. I love basketball. And so when we play basketball, let's talk about defense. I hate defense. One, I'm small, so I can't guard anybody. But it's not my favorite thing. And so I want to defend well. All right, so here we are, end of the game, bingo, bam, I'm ready to defend. Go time. Slap the floor, do the deal. All right. So what is the actual dominant habit? So number 7 of our success traits is skill sets. So go down to number 7. We can forget about me being small, ability to learn, training attitude, forget about all this. Go right to skill sets. Nobody is born with the skill set of shuffle, slide, hands off. Nobody. Not possible. Now, elite people are more likely, through their attitude to training, through their ability to learn, probably because their body, it's easier to shuffle slide if you're quick. It's easy to shuffle slide if your arms are really long, and you have something, you have some backup. So what's my backup? I don't have a backup. I grab. Boom. Right? Person goes by me, slap down. You reach in. Right? And so in a my best 7 framework, I really want to stop. I really, really want to stop. I'm not nervous about it. I'm not upset about it. I really, really want to stop this person coming at me. The probability of my dominant habit of holding becomes greater, that I'm going to hold, the more I want to stop that person. Right. Let's go to life. Let's use a life example. What's a great one? Math. Math is a great one. Oh, I can't do math. I haven't heard. I'm a parent. How many times did you hear that one? Can't do math. Right. And so somebody goes to a math exam. I'm driven to do well. I still want to do well, right? People want to do well. They want to do well. And then the probability, the dominant response is their mind. The dominant response of their mind is, oh, I can't do it. All right, I do have a piece of paper in front of me. I look at it. Oh, I can't do it. Somehow I have to slide that thing back, that drive, that whatever it is, it's drive. I got to slide it back to bring down that dominant response. This is where the video might be helpful. Bring that drive down by, go back to podcast 2. I'm encouraging, enthusiastic. I do my 6-2-6 breathing method. Right there, bring it back. Talk about my goal. Go through my action items. And then all of a sudden, things can work out. We're not talking about physiological arousal. We're not talking about bringing my drive down, and thus, for the basketball example, then I'm laying on the floor sleeping. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about drive. How bad I really, really want it. Sometimes I can want it too bad because my dominant response is the incorrect response. So we've had easy example of hunger. We've had a little bit more interesting example of skill sets, basketball, football, calling people off sides. And we have talked about math. Right? So people go, kids go, adults go. I can't do it. Right? I'll tell a quick story, then we'll get into kind of the bigger picture of a personality. It's kind of almost like a personality thing, but it's that I can't do it thing. Right, so I was taking a calculus exam in 1987, University of Illinois. I want to do well. I did. I sat down for whatever reason because I wanted it so bad. I wanted it so bad that my dominant response was to, I don't know, to overthink. Dominant response was to overthink and be negative, right? It doesn't have to be, I want it, and then what's my dominant response? Well, I want it so bad, and I didn't want to be in the class, and I was an astronautical engineer, and I don't want to be an aeronautical. I'm not an aeronautical. I'm not talking about aeronautical I'm not talking about aeronautical. I can't even say the word right now. It's so stressful, right? I didn't want to be in that major. It was the first box at Illinois, so I check marked that box. That was it. I don't want to go to space. I don't want to. I don't know how this microphone works. I don't understand computers. Going to Mars, no way. Um, and so I sat down, I looked at the exam. I had nothing. I had zero in my mind, zero. And so I said, that's it. I'll just, whatever, start over. I'll just flunk it and go home for Christmas. It's the last day of finals, last exam, last day. Snowstorm. Got this old 10-speed bike I had since I was, who knows, 10. And so I walked down the aisle, do the excuse me thing. And then I stood in the aisle with the exam in my hand, and I did have some mental skill sets. I did. I was a good student. I did have some skill sets. And I said something like, I can do this, I'm better than this. That's what I know. I said, I'm better than this. I am better. Mark, you are better than this. And so then I breathed, because I'm going to tell a story from 1985 again. It's a big year for me, 85, 86. And then I calmed down and I said to myself, what is my goal right now? Right now, what is my goal? My goal is to do as many problems as I can successfully. What are my skill sets? We probably could bring a calculator. I can't remember that far back. But we had stuff, right? It wasn't like I just had to stare at the paper and come up with an empty Einstein. Right? I just needed to do this exam. So then I said, excuse me, going back. You had to go back to your seat. And I sat down in the auditorium, and then bingo. It all came to me because I had, again, this program is about failure when you want something too much because your dominant response is wrong. So I said, Mark, you're better than this. Mark, you can do this. Your goal is to sit down and figure out how many problems you can do correctly. Here's the skill sets that you have, items that you could bring. I went back, I sat down, and I saw Dr. Paley the next semester, Harlan Paley, who was the mayor of Champaign-Urbana at that time, or just had been. And he always called me Gordy instead of Mark. Gordy Lochbaum was a Division III football player, Holy Cross, I believe. I don't think we're related. And he said, Gordy, I said, it's Mark. And he said, Gordy, man, you did great on that exam. I'm really proud of you. And I was really proud of myself because what I did was, again, I brought it down. Brought down my negative mark, right? That I can't do this and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be here. Astronautical engineering, that was the major. I don't want to be in this. I just want to be out. An easy out would just be to fail it. That's an easy out. Right? So it worked out. Let's talk about failure. When we're driven, my best 7. Let's talk about personality. So we're gonna dive into a big one right here. I've got a dog that's taking a nap and making the dog noises. It's brutal if you don't have a studio. Figure out how to do this. It's so hard. But it's real. That's what Brad said, real and raw. Brad's real and raw because I have a dog taking a nap, making a noise. And so Poet Talk was in sophomore English. And you had to talk for the whole class period about a poet. Mine was Robert Frost. And so to pull this back into context of my best 7, elite performers in the moment of performing, their personality is they're emotionally stable. We won't dive into, well, that can't be true because, so-and-so goes off the handle outside of the arena. We're not talking about that. We're talking about in the moment of, elite performers are emotionally stable. They control their emotions, and they have a better chance of performing well. So I would say easily at that time in my life, I was a nervous guy. Right? Not that I didn't want things. I did. Played well. I had good moments in my life. Won things. But that dominant response, the probability of that dominant response being emitted, the more I wanted something, would be to be less emotionally stable, right? And so, what are those types of things? Too emotional, too many negative thoughts, right? Things like that, right? Things that are going to damage your performance. And so that talk, I've talked about this now for, 1985, 86, a long time ago. That's so long ago. And at some point, he stopped talking about it. It's in a workbook, so everybody knows about it. But it fits the story. It fits. And then we have a solution. Because I already told you, I found a solution, and I bucked up at that exam, the calculus exam. Just a couple of years later, I really bucked up. And so I go give the talk. I practiced a lot the night before, tons and tons and tons of practice, tons of practice. And I get there, and in brief, it's too heavy. Corduroy jackets, the '80s. I don't know if corduroy was in style, so we didn't have. I don't know. It's what we had. So that's what I had, and a tie and whatnot. And this one said up first, Prof Lochbaum. And the kicker was, in theory, you didn't know who was going to go first, but it was me. I knew it was me, so that's why I dressed up. And so I stand up there. It's Robert Frost. I got the best. Can't get better than that. Two roads divide. One goes one way, one goes the other way, that type of stuff. As the story goes, it just got worse. Sting in the eye, wipe, and then I realized how nervous I am. That my dominant response of being emotionally unstable in the moment, not all day long, in the moment of when I want something the most, bingo, nervous, emotionally unstable, negative, sweat. And so voice changes, sounds like I'm crying. It's no fun at all. No fun at all. And so then I blacked out. Then I just, boop, it's like zero, nothing. Grabbed the podium. I'm a gamer. I've made some shots in my life. I've done some things. I held the podium. I kept talking, crying. And then Miss Lindsley said, "Well, you want to sit down?" She asked me before. I said, "No." And I said, "Well, yeah, I really do." And there's a chair behind me. I remembered there's a chair. So I lodged my leg into the chair and grabbed the chalkboard. If you're, I don't know when chalkboards went out of style, but if you're young, you have no idea what I'm talking about. I grabbed the ledge where the chalk goes, and I fell back, and then the lights came on, just like that. Oh, lights came on. Incredible, absolutely incredible. And so by that time, the drive, all of it. Then my dominant response was just blah about Robert Frost, because I'd been at the worst. I couldn't be any more driven. I couldn't want it anymore after that, because I didn't have any fluids left in my body, right? So I had nothing left. I had zero left in my body to be driven. So then I finished my talk, and then it was embarrassing, and I still had to go the next day because it took so long. I had to come back and finish my talk. Right? So fun. And so, but I got over it. I got over it. And so, again, we were going along with drive theory with solutions each time, not just wait to the end for a solution. So, if I have the wrong goal, I need to change the goal. That's the solution. Change the goal. I have a goal. My action items are wrong. I want to do well in my geometry test. I just say a squared plus b squared equals c squared over and over and over. I have an action plan to do it in the morning, action plan to do it at lunchtime, action plan to do it at night. Come next morning, take the exam, then I don't remember it. I have any idea about the rest of it. Right? We have too driven. Our skill sets are wrong. Right? So it's an easy solution. It's practice. It's not a hard thing. It takes time. Right? And we talk about, other people talk about it. Well, I have my graduate class going on. Today is the 23rd of January, and we had an assignment about gurus versus kinesiologists versus clinical people, and videos of great people, and then people talk about different concepts, and this is one of the concepts that people talk about. I talk about it a different way. I say, when I practice something to become elite, again, this is a strategy for number 7, skill set number 7 of elite people, the right skill sets. You have to build it up. I use the thermometer that way in our videos. People, I think the thermometer was some other analogy. It's that I go, okay, if I could sit in my chair And thinking about being a great defender, image it, use some mental skill sets, right? Image it, see it, watch some video, right? Then I stand up and image it, right? Getting closer to moving. Then I go out and practice it. We go to practice, hands off, hands slide, whistles and the whole thing. And then we got to get in situations. Right? Then we got to get in games. Right? If I don't stop somebody in, I don't know, second quarter when the game's not in doubt, then how in the world could I stop them in the end when the game is in doubt and this bucket means the world? And I still have I don't know if I have changed my habit, my dominant habit from holding to shuffling, sliding, to be in the right position. And then we go to personality, right? That's a big one. This is a big one. This is like, again, podcast for years. This is a big one, right? So which is easier to change, right? Which is easier to take that drive down so the worst parts of my personality don't come out. That's surely easier than changing my personality. Right? There's all sorts of things on YouTube. How to survive as an introvert, how to survive as a whatever thing. Here's one way. With drive theory, you just ease back a little bit. Don't get so far down the road that you can't recover, right? And that's hard to understand. That's very hard. It's very hard to understand, to say to people, I don't want it as much. How many times do you hear that on YouTube or an Instagram post? Hey, don't want it so much. Right? And so it is hard to change a dominant response. It is easier if I ease back to drive. If I ease back a little bit, right, then I can bring that thing down and then I can work on changing that. And so anybody, again, with the right goal, with a goal that is within your abilities, and nobody wants to hear that. Right? So you have to build up. And that's the positive point I'm trying to make. You have to build your skills. You have to build your skills, right? To build, it takes time to make things happen. And so to wrap this up, we talked about one of the most frustrating things ever, right? Is that I am driven. We didn't say anything about being negative. All positive. We hear it all the time. If you're positive, reach for the stars, fall a little short, you'll grab, I don't know, ozone. But you do that, it'll all work out. If you're negative, it won't work out. And that's probably about true. That's pretty, it's not always true, but it's pretty true. If I want to be negative, I know I can be negative. I got that one down. I can be negative and have a terrible habit come out. And, I can be driven in a negative way, have an awful habit come out. And whatever that performance line is, that end of it is, it's just getting worse. That just because that line is going this way, that doesn't mean things are getting better. It just means that behavior is being emitted more than not, right? And what we want to learn from this program is that I'm telling you right now, that we're gonna. It's not sequential. I had this conversation with my mom. Performance enhancement is not sequential. I'm not saying that podcasts 1, 2, 3, 4 to a million are going to be sequential. But right now we have a sequence. We have a solution in podcast 2 that we're going to say something like, we're going to say, I am committed to reading my daily I am script. I'm going to have an I am statement that is accurate about myself. I'm going to have a daily goal that goal could be solving a drive theory issue, because there's action items that's going to solve that issue, right? And so I gave that Robert Frost talk. This is the pinnacle of the talk. Yeah, it was just terrible, right? It was terrible. And so I get home at the end of the day, all down. And my dad says, well, last night when you're practicing, you were hyperventilating. And if you wouldn't have done that, it would have worked out. Right? If you're watching this video thinking, you couldn't have told me that? Like, you couldn't have stopped me and said, hey, in 35 years, you're going to have a podcast about a 626 breathing method. And if you knew the 626 breathing method, it all would have worked out. Just like that, it all would have worked out. There's nothing more frustrating than being driven and not getting the result. It's realistic. This program is all about, it's not about realism, but it's all about being realistic. And again, moderate goal, just a little bit above. Moderate goal, just a little bit above. Every day is going to lead to success. And it's going to make drive theory work for you and not be against you. So if you like this, share it with a friend, share it with an enemy. See ya. Thanks a ton.